Hello, I'm Ruben. I'm a former military guy turned journalist working my way into podcasting. One thing that's never changed, I'm a nerd, and I love talking about comics, video games, and all things nerdy. I even did radio segments talking about them. Now it's my time to shine with Nerd is the Word, you heard? So, I want to say thank you to those who are returning to another episode of Nerd is the Word, you heard? And for those of you who are brand new to the show, welcome. So, from our last show, I have received some feedback from some of you, and most of it so far has been some really great reviews. Hell yeah! Thank you all. Now, I am well aware that I do talk fast, and I'm going to apologize for that. You see, I have ADHD, so I'm going to do my very best to enunciate my words from this point forward and try to slow down my speech. You know, like I said, I'm learning as I go, and I hope everyone can understand. Now, before I dive into today's topics, I would like to just tell you all a story, and it deals with today's topic. So, a little about me. I grew up in the 90s, and I'm a 90s kid, so I can relate to a lot of people. I also grew up what I like to call a closeted nerd, and I'll discuss later what that means. See, back in the day, being a nerd was usually meant being vulnerable to bullies and meant getting your ass kicked. And it didn't help me for someone like me who was vertically challenged, and I also grew up poor, so that also meant I was usually target number one as well. I mean, I can reminisce about a time when I was getting my ass handed just for liking Pokemon. I mean, these guys were like punching me, yelling, "Goku can beat Pikachu!" They were both fucking anime. It was the weirdest part of all. But you know how bullies are, they don't need a reason. Another time I actually got a bloody nose for just owning the cards. And I never actually played the game, let alone the video games. I just knew this was just a cartoon. I didn't know it was called an anime, to be honest. You want to know what really sucks? I even had a rare Charizard card. Like a holographic first edition. And it was brutally destroyed. Now, it only got worse going into high school. Being a band geek made my life a living hell. I would even hide in the library and read comic books that the school had. I didn't even know they had comic books. They had quite a selection of graphic novels though, and that's when I learned about manga books. So, as I said before, I grew up poor. My family grew up on VHS tapes because we never had cable TV or a DVD player, and that was fine for us. A family friend of ours basically gave us a whole box of VHS tapes, and inside it was a box of anime I never heard of: Tenchi Muyo, Ranma 1/2, Trigun, and I watched Ranma 1/2 from what VHS we had, which was 4 episodes per VHS. And I fell in love with Ranma 1/2, never knowing it was based on a manga series. I never even knew what a manga book was until I went to the library for the very first time. You know, you gotta love your libraries, right? Now they have graphic novels and comic books. So, I watched anime, never knowing it was called anime. I've seen Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon, never knew it was called anime. I just called them cartoons. You know? And the same thing goes for Pokemon. And I never knew that anime were based on manga books, just like my comic book heroes were based on comic books were. So, I fell in love with this new medium genre of graphic novels, or the manga books, basically. Now, earlier when I said I was a closeted nerd, that's because back then, nerds weren't accepted as cool as they are now. And it's like I said earlier, you know, I was bullied and I was basically pulverized, and I did my best to hide my very best to hide my love of all things nerdy, okay? I tried to hide as much as I could. I hated being a nerd so much, I would wish my superheroes were real. Just so someone could save me. I really got beaten up really badly. In fact, I'll never forget when I signed up to join the Marine Corps, the toughest branch of all the branches there is, right? You know, the Marine Corps is actually known as President's Zone, if you guys didn't know that, and we get sent to war first. You know, I'll never forget how many people didn't believe I could make it out alive. You know, it was so bad, people were like thinking, oh, he's not gonna make it, he's gonna come back broken, just watch, something's gonna be wrong with him, he won't make it past boot camp. And a lot of people thought I was gonna go in and try to become this killing machine, so I can get revenge on those who harm me. Let me be honest with you, everybody was way off, okay? So when I joined, I wanted to show courage where it mattered the most. I wanted to prove that I had what it takes to overcome any and all my obstacles that in my path that was set before me, basically. You know, I want to show the world I wasn't weak at all, but I was stronger than I look, and that when the odds were stacked against me, that's when I shine brighter than a Super Saiyan, if y'all know what I'm saying. Now, as we all know, I did graduate boot camp and survived 3 months of training, and let me just say, everybody that saw me, they were in complete shock and awe when I came home in my dress blues, and was pretty much showing pride. You know, I had made peace with my bullies too, and some are considered now my closest friends. In fact, right now they're even supporting me in the show. So, thanks you guys for, you know, sticking with me. Now, after I signed and joined with the Marines, I thought these were really brave men and women who, you know, obviously signed just like me, but I never thought any of them could, you know, be nerds or like manga or read comic books and watch cartoons. stuff that I was into. Instead of these were brave men and women who were about to fight war. And was I wrong? So after meeting my fellow brothers and sisters in arms, I had learned something, and well, basically, we might be Marines and we're all trained the same, and every Marine is considered a rifleman, but we're not all the same basically. I met Marines who read comic books and would talk to me about video games. I met a Marine who knew so much about Naruto that it made my brain melt, and I had a sergeant once, and this guy was my barracks manager. He had seen me playing Naruto on my PS2 one time, and he started telling me he liked Naruto. And I thought pretty much that he was mocking me, since most people said that they like Naruto. They'd be like, "Oh, I like Naruto too. I like so-and-so." You guys know what I mean. But then this guy named 6 characters and a few arcs, and I was like, wait, what? Now this guy was so fucking cool. He was a sergeant or an E4, and that's a very respected rank. And he was a motorcycle tech savvy guy as well. There's a time I was on duty, which is like security guard, working front desk and at the barracks, and he asked me to set up his new computer in the break room with the TV on. Now, minutes later, I see all these Marines all over running and screaming and grabbing loads of cleaning supplies, and the Marines tell me how he went ballistic and he started yelling things like, "We're doing this shit by the numbers! I am fucking back!" Now, I was kind of scared, considering that he was nice to me, but, yelling at these guys, and I was afraid that he would come after me next, and now this guy just stared me dead in the eyes in the break room. He looked right at me and said, "So how's the setup?" And this guy's just an NCO, and this guy's just really cool, like he's a feared Marine. And sometime later, he was being deployed to Japan, and as a farewell, I gave him my Naruto headband that I used to carry around with me. And he said to me right there that he would wear it with pride, and I believed him, because he was a cool NCO, we talked Naruto, and it was really for the first time that I actually felt like being a nerd meant something, And this guy was, like I said, he was my superior. He wasn't my equal, but he still took his time to talk to me, like more than as a nerd as a man. But it was nice to finally talk to others just like me in the world, and I wasn't alone. It felt nice, knowing that there were other nerds too. As I did say earlier, there were other Marines who were nerds, and it basically opened me to so much. I had great conversations about Dragon Ball Z while at the rifle range, or saw how to read comics overseas on my laptop, since it wasn't really easy to obtain books at the time, let alone comics, and I read so many comic books in Afghanistan. I've read Spider-Man, Sonic the Hedgehog, I read graphic novels. One series that I read overseas that was really well known was the House of M series, which the series WandaVision was based on, if you didn't know that. I read all the Ultimate Spider-Man comics and started recognizing the name Brian Michael Bendis, and he gave us Miles Morales. I actually got to meet Brian at my first WonderCon with my son, and my son is usually shy. Well, Brian asked my son, "Are you having fun?" And my son replied for the first time. He said, yeah, he was having fun, and I was in shock, because my son never talks to anybody. I highly recommend the works of Brian Michael Bendis. If you ever get a chance, look up his work. You can't never go wrong with Ultimate Spider-Man. Like I said, he gave us basically Miles Morales, and it's a really good read. I bring the story, as I had said before, that nerds were not cool, and thanks to Hollywood, who portrayed nerds as thick glasses, high pants, water pants wearing, overbite, buck teeth, annoying voices only, talking a geek, or only basically losers. Hi, man! However, Hollywood has also brought heroes to the screen, and now everyone wants to be a nerd. Nerds are not cool, and I for one have embraced who I was, since I was getting beaten for being one, so. And a friend of mine once asked if I felt like I grew up at the wrong time. And to that I say no. Just because they're cool now doesn't mean, anything to me at all. I was the original nerd, and I can show my love of comics, and I would have hoped that the bullying of nerds would have stopped, at least to an end, at least. Sadly now I see nerds doing what used to be done to us, except mostly behind a screen. I see nerds bully actors so bad that they quit. Let's talk about Jar Jar Binks. He pretty much quit, or, and they say things to female writers just for being cute and claiming that they're just clout and spread nonsense. And I've seen female writers have this complaint. And worse, when they attack. Now here's the thing: they attack a little girl for being Iron Man's daughter. How low do you have to be to target a little girl? Why does the community have to be so toxic? I know everyone's entitled to their opinion, and I have my own opinions too. But why do you choose to attack someone for doing their job, or for being new at a game, or? Now, like I said, I've been bullied before, and I became a Marine, and I'm trained to kill. And we learned MCMAP, or Marine Corps Martial Arts Program. And with every punch, every kick, we yell, "Kill! Kill! Kill!" We say, "Give him one," you say, "Kill!" And I'm dead serious, pun intended. My point being, I've seen hatred and I've seen the worst in the world. Why must we attack when most of us have been attacked? Spread joy and love, not hatred or bullying. I might be a pacifist, but I still have like my Marine Corps mentality in me. And as mentioned before, people are complaining about April O'Neil. I'm not sure why they're, and I refuse to learn why she's being hated. I saw the trailer with the ties of an Ninja Turtle fan, and I honestly can say the same for Michael Bay's version until I actually saw that movie. Now, like I said before, let's give the movie a chance, and let's just say it's crap if it is. Now, I understand when the world bullied Sonic the Hedgehog. Granted, I was a little pissed when I saw what they'd done to Sonic 2, but I was super happy with how the movie was in the end. And I can recall a time when Kingsman was judged for its trailer. I loved it, and my then Psycho Ex at the time I was dating, or I like to call her She Who Must Not Be Named, obvious reasons, she hated the trailer, but after she's seen it with me, she loved it. There's a complaint about how not comic accurate movies are, and I'll never forget when Zendaya was cast as Peter's love interest. So much bitching about her and her chemistry with Tom Holland, which was her actual man, or is her actual man, was very phenomenal. Now, she's known as Michelle Jones instead of Mary Jane, and not to mention it was Aunt May in No Way Home said the actual quote, "With great power, there must also come great responsibility." A line in the comics not said by Uncle Ben or Aunt May, fellow nerds. Oh, no, no, no. In fact, in Amazing Fantasy number 15, it was a narration. Look it up. No Way Home was a beautiful movie, and I, for one, was in tears. Hell, I still cry when I still see it now. Let's be honest, nothing will actually ever be comic accurate. I mean, if they actually told origin stories, it would take 7 movies just to tell how it all starts, right? And screenwriters and everybody's just doing their best of their job to tell the best of the story, just the meat and potatoes of said story. So, and we still love these movies no matter how they are, and we all love our heroes, so why spread hate before a movie's shown? Instead of bashing a guy who wears a Superman shirt but doesn't read comics, give him slack. I mean, we all read or watch our heroes with one medium or another. I, for one, didn't start reading Spider-Man until after I seen the cartoon at the age of 5. I couldn't read comics until 7. And I was given the Maximum Carnage comic books. And that was pretty dark for a 7-year-old, let me tell you. And a quote from the page by Cletus Cassidy goes, "Here comes the bride, all dressed in white. I wish it was red and you'd all be dead." Oh, and I'm serious about that too. So I went from watching a kid's version with a theme that can be remembered by Aerosmith's lead guitar, Joe Perry. And fun fact, Joe did a cameo in the 94 cartoon of Spider-Man, the animated series. And Aerosmith did a cover of the Spider-Man theme. Spider-Man, Spider-Man, does whatever a spider can. Now, I remember how bad it was for me to be an adult nerd and wonder if after the core I could still fit in. And I went to my first con in 2011. And this was right after I got the Marine Corps. So I went to my first expo. It was called the D23 Expo, or a Disney Expo. And I had seen cosplays and booths and tables. And I was pretty much in awe and shock of nerds that were around me. I did my first cosplay in 2012 with my son. And I was pretty much worried as I had a very shitty wig. And my cosplay was basically store-bought. And the community took me with open arms. And basically me and my son were stopped constantly for photos. I even met a Master Roshi cosplayer who me and my son would run to constantly at other cons and events. And this guy's now a good friend of ours. And me and my son had a lot of fun, and I learned something I want to tell you all to think about. So, some of the Teen Titans were doing a signing at a WonderCon I went to. My very first one with my son. And yeah, to get a ticket, and I was still learning about cons at the time. Robin and Beast Boy were doing some of the signings, as well as some of the staff that worked on the show. And this guy came with a bunch of posters in the end. And me and my son were on the sidelines just watching them signing. Robin was waving hi to my son. And this guy comes with these posters, he came with 20 posters and wrote them signed. And he's leaving the area, and he's telling me and my son and a bunch of other of us to come to the corner to the side. And he starts handing us these posters, and I just want to get one for my son. The guy hands it to my son, and I said, "Thank you so much." And this is what he tells me, and I think this word's very much dear to heart, and it means a lot to me. He said to me, "We're all nerds, we need to stick together." And that really means a lot. I want you all to think about that. What he said, and like I said, it means a lot to me now. We're all nerds, we need to stick together. I agree with that. We all are nerds, and we do need to stick together. I mean, like I said before, I don't want you to spread hatred and rage. Why are we doing that in the first place? Just ask yourselves why. If you were a nerd like me, and you hated being a nerd because of what it meant to you, and now you're being someone that you used to hate. Ask yourself why. When did you ever become to the dark side? And, you know, like I said, the best we can do is try not to spread so much rage in the world, you know? So like I said, if you see someone wearing a superhero shirt, or maybe, you know, you see someone walking around and they don't read comic books, don't give them hell. You know, ask them why they, you know, why they like the hero for one reason or another, and maybe, you know, tell them a fun fact or two. You know, I have two friends of mine who are, well, these friends are basically in a couple, and one likes Batman, the other one likes Superman, and neither of them ever read a comic, and they never bothered me. In fact, I even told them some recommendations they might like to watch, like cartoons or movies, and they were open arms to like know what they could more. And they would ask me who was better, and I would be like, to hell with you guys, Nightwing. I'm a huge Nightwing fan. Fuck you guys. I'm not gonna say Batman or Superman, so I'm gonna say the metal man in between, Nightwing. So fuck you all, ha ha ha. I don't care what you all have to say, you know. And I love the fact that they were open to know what I had to share, and they ended up buying me some comic books. And I'm a guy who loves free comic books, and even if it's not free comic book day, fucking love some free comics. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, just spread the love of nerd knowledge, and let's not spread Warcraft. You know, I might get trolls for this, but I have very thick skin, and then again, I also serve my country, and I honestly stopped caring what the world thought about me at some point. So, and lastly, I have a community who supports me, so, you know. I'd like to end today with some comments and questions I've gotten either on our Facebook page or our YouTube page. Now, I asked about thoughts about the latest Blue Beetle, and Aaron Malone, hey, any relations to Post Malone? I don't listen to Post Malone anyway, so. He says, the trailer is awesome, and if they do Blue Beetle justice, then it'll open a whole new door for the DCEU. Honestly, it may save their movies, even though it sucked they cut Cavill as Supes. I mean, a lot of offense here when I say this, but the DCEU has sucked so bad after the Dark Knight trilogy, they still come back around to only Batman and Superman movies. Wonder Woman was great, Aquaman was great, The Flash looks good, though they should have got rid of Ezra, and they should have to rely on Zack Snyder's cut of Justice League to even get a decent review for the movie from fans and critics. They need this reboot. Cutting actors and actresses we love or not, it sucks, but it's the damn truth. They cannot keep going back and forth to Batman and Superman to save the franchise. It won't keep working. So, I'm not gonna lie, I did not like Cavill as Superman. I honestly didn't like him. He had the weird bulge in his head when he got angry a lot. And, you know, I honestly didn't see him as Superman. I mean, he's a great actor and all, but I didn't feel like he was right for the Man of Steel. But, like I said, he had that weird bulge in his forehead that just really creeped me out. I will agree with you there, Mr. Aaron, about Ezra Miller. I believe that they should be also removed from the after Flashpoint. And those of you who are not well aware, the new Flash movie will be based on the Flashpoint Paradox. Basically, if you want the too long don't read version of that, there's an animated version on HBO Max under the name Flashpoint Paradox. And I recommend that one. It's really good. And again, everyone has their title to free speech. And does anyone agree with me or Aaron? Where you at? Comment and let me know. I have seen comments for gaming. With two, I'd like to say to my fellow nerds, or should I call you listeners? What should I call you listeners anyways? Should I call you nerds? Nerd herds? Or maybe some other awesome nickname? Let me know. Let's hear it. Well, basically, James Mitchell and Isaac Blair asked about the new Star Wars, or excuse me, the past Jedi. So there are comments for gaming, and with two, I'd like to say for my fellow nerds, or what should I call you guys? Should I say nerd herders or something? How do you think I should perceive you guys? Let me know. Well, anyways, both James Mitchell and Isaac Blair both asked about the Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order and how I feel about it, and how I feel about the upcoming Jedi Survivor. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I just recently started playing Fallen Order because it's free on PlayStation Network right now, and I got to where you can have a double-sided green lightsaber. Pretty much after I saw that, I said, oh hell yeah! And then, oh hell, when I got my ass kicked by Mauls, then, oh hell no, when I got ambushed by them. I like the game so far, and I mean, there are a few bug glitches here and there, but I do love how you can choose planets and use the Force. So hopefully I can finish before the new one comes out pretty soon. I haven't even finished God of War yet, and I have the sequel for that. I have no regrets, not even a vowel. And lastly, Angel Perez asked if I'm ready for anything this year, and I did mention last time on the last show that I was already anticipating for Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and earlier this year we got Metroid Prime on Switch, if I'm not mistaken. I hope I can get that one soon. And not to mention, yes, my homie, I am ready for Spider-Man 2. Tony Todd plays Candyman as Venom. I can already hear how awesome that is. Talk about, so we are ready for 2023. I feel like it has a pretty good solid lineup. Now, Sally, I do understand E3 will not be happening, and for me personally, I feel like it's okay. I mean, we see trailers for the new games online anyway, right? Or do you wish E3 was still happening? Let me know. So in today's show, and I say this to you, if this is the morning, well, good morning to you. And if this isn't, well, then good afternoon, good evening, and good night. And if you got that reference, you're awesome. Peace!